Becky and the Fairy, written by Stephanie Adams, illustrated by Victory McLeod. Becky and the Fairy.
Con ơi bỏ đấy ra nha. Nhớ may chắc là
Becky and the Fairy, written by Stephanie Adams, illustrated by Victoria McLeod. Becky awoke with a start. What was the noise? She sat up in the bed and tried to rub the sleep out of her eyes. There was the noise again. This time she heard it better, because she was awake. It was a faint tinkle, like the sound of the tiny bell. Becky looked around, trying to find out where the noise was coming from. Out of the corner of her eyes, she saw a pink sparkling little glitter, like glitter in front of a flashlight. When she turned her head in the direction of the light, it was gone. It had disappeared out of the door. Becky was the kind of girl to ignore what was going on around her. She was an adventure type. Her heart pounded with excitement. What if she had just seen a fairy? She wasn't going to let it get away. She threw back the cover and leaped out of bed. She quickly stuck her feet into the bunny slipper by her bed and ran for the door. Becky was looking all around when she heard the tinkle again. She turned around just in time to see the sparkle out of the window in the garden. It couldn't be Firefly because it's pink, Becky thought. She slipped on a coat and followed it. Finally, in the garden, next to the tomato bush, she caught up with the light. It was a fairy. Becky quietly watched as the rest of the huge tomato leaf. The fairy had sparkle pink, glowing wings that beat quickly back and forth, like those of a hummingbird. Becky knew that the fairy would soon disappear, so she jumped forward and caught it with both hands. It fluttered its wing and moved its tiny feet as it struggled to break free. Becky carefully opened her hand just as a crack so she could see the fairy. "I'll open my hand all the way," she said, "if you promise not to fly away." The fairy stamped, making the bell on her toes jingle. "I can only stay for a few minutes," she said, her voice tiny and soft. Becky opened her hand and looked at the fairy. Her dress was made of flower petals and her long hair danced around her shoulder. "What do you want?" the fairy asked. "Fairy don't grant wish." "Oh, I know that," Becky said. "I just want to see you up close. After all, I've never seen a fairy before." The fairy laughed. Her voice was high and sweet. Becky never heard her laugh so totally happy before. "Very well. Here's a dance for you, for your enjoyment." The fairy twirled and jumped. The bell on her toes jingled merrily as she danced. She sang a little tune. "I'm so happy as can be, because I know what you love me. I sing, dance, and laugh all day, because that's the fairy way." The fairy ended by spinning into the air. She flew close to Becky's eyes. "Take a good look," she said, "because it's time for me to go." Becky sighed sadly, knowing she would probably never see the fairy again. "Don't be sad," the fairy said. "You will see me again." A tiny sliver of light shone on the horizon. "Now that it's dawn, I must go back to fairyland. But watch for me. I'll visit in your dreams." Becky watched as the fairy flew toward the light of morning, the pink spark of her wings blending with the sunrise. Suddenly, Becky felt very tired, so she ran back in the house and climbed into bed. A little while later, Becky awoke. The smell of breakfast was in the air. Had her meeting with the fairy been a dream? She reached out to pick up her clothes, but stopped in surprise. Her hand was sprinkled with dull pink sparkle. Becky smiled, knowing that she went to bed. She would dream of fairies. The end.